he's been sitting on the Epstein files, so-called, for a year. In that time, he's dismantled the Justice Department and remade it as a group of people who have whose clear, singular priority is his protection.
Well, and as we've said, the number 1, 2, and 3 at the Justice Department were all his personal lawyers: Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Emile Beauvais.
Exactly. So what have they been doing during this time to this material, the Epstein files?
And just to be clear, in as much as one can be clear in this, and I know we've discussed this many times before, but people still ask, what is in these files?
Okay, we've done phase 2. We began with phase 2. That's the flood the zone.
Right.
We've gone back to phase 1, which is what has happened in the year that all of the attention has been on these files, understanding Trump's obsession with Nixon, that he didn't burn the tapes. Now let's go to phase 3.
Okay, before we do, can I just ask one question? The Oversight Committee released a ton of emails last Thursday, but those came from the estate.
Republicans. Yes, they came. The Oversight Committee.
We have to differentiate here between the estate and what the DOJ has, right?
They subpoenaed the Epstein estate. They got this material. The Democrats released a handful of emails.
The Republicans then released another 30,000 documents.
Yes.
Right. So we have those that came out of the estate, but we also have, we believe, a trove of evidence the FBI had when they arrested him.
Okay, so phase 3. Phase 3 is the release of the Epstein files, except we don't really know what the Epstein files are. But even before we get to that, the House will pass this. Is this a bill, a request, a subpoena? I don't know. But whatever it formally is, the House will have acted in a positive way on this. Then this goes to the Senate. We don't know how the Senate will act, and it may very well be this is Donald Trump. It may very well be, yes, I'm going to say release these files because I know the Senate is not going to pass this. Mm-hmm. We don't know, but let's assume that actually the Senate does pass this. Then phase 3, what happens? Well, actually, nobody knows what happens. The United States Congress is due something, but we don't know what that something is because we don't know what the Epstein files are. That's never been defined. We don't even know where they are or who is in possession. The FBI is clearly in possession of certain material. They went into his house after he was arrested in July 2019, and they emptied the house. They emptied the safe. They did the same thing for his properties in Florida, New Mexico, but I don't know if they had access to his property in the Virgin Islands.
Right. What about Paris? This house in Paris.
And then I don't know if they had access to Paris either. So just some of the outstanding questions there, but they don't. The FBI doesn't have all of the information. I mean, there is the Southern District in New York, which has its information, and there is lots of information that went to grand juries. There's always a problem with releasing grand jury information. That requires a whole other set of procedures.
And also, you can't release information if it's the subject of an investigation, can you? If it's an ongoing investigation.
I don't know, but there are layers and layers and layers of procedural and legal questions. Then there's information that's held in the federal district in Florida. Then there's information that's held with the local Palm Beach, the state prosecution. There is, one would assume, a reams of financial information. One of the other sides of this scandal is the banking dimension of this. Another place, by the way, where Donald Trump is vulnerable. Epstein's relationship with Deutsche Bank is involved with Trump's also questionable relationship with Deutsche Bank. We can continue to go on to extrapolate where there would be information about Jeffrey Epstein. How much this is specified in, we haven't seen what the nature of the subpoena that they are sending, nor has there been a hearing yet, as there well should be, on where is this information? What is the nature of this information? Then we have to get into the chain of evidence here. As I have said repeatedly, I have seen pictures of Donald Trump around Jeffrey Epstein's pool with a set of women, age unknown, but which would certainly be, at the very least, hugely embarrassing to the president. Will those pictures be there? Have they been
if they're not there?
removed?
Right, have they been burned?
Yes, exactly. All of this. And then that's, okay, so that's the next step of this. Having figured out what this information is, or taken whatever you're given, what are you given? And the executive branch, the Justice Department, we assume, the FBI, but other parts of the executive branch are effectively the curators of this information, and they can kind of release this in almost any fashion they want. We're looking for it. We're preparing it. We'll send over this part of the Epstein files, which just conveniently implicate everybody else but Donald Trump.
Right.
We're going through this part, and we're going to redact. Have you ever seen it when the government gets in there and
Well, it just puts a black line through absolutely everything. Yes.
There's nothing there. And again, where does it come from? Are we releasing from the FBI? Are we releasing from Main Justice? Are we releasing from the individual offices of federal prosecutors? Are we releasing from the IRS? Are we releasing from the Treasury Department?
Nobody knows.
And let's assume the Epstein story is spread widely over the government of the United States, which I think is certainly true. Are we releasing material from the intelligence community?
Good Lord. Well, and also surely there would be a danger that if they had taken, for example, the photos and destroyed them, that people would know that, and at some point these things come out.
Well,
I understand he's put loyalists into the DOJ, but it's also packed with people who are career DOJ, civil servants who don't want to see justice twisted.
Well, I would say that would have been true. So there's another question: how truly successful has Trump been in remaking the Justice Department and at least the higher ranks of the Justice Department to be entirely focused on protecting him? He could have been very successful at this point. Seems like on a regular basis, they're getting rid of anyone who would ask any questions.
The thing that I think is different about the Epstein files is the girls that were at the center of it, and so many people feel sympathetic to the victims. Rightly so. But this isn't like a white-collar crime where there weren't people at the heart of it. We know there was this industrial-sized network of abuse going on, And we saw the victims outside gathered again today demanding the release of the files. And I think internally, even if you are a Trump loyalist, there are people who have tremendous sympathy and want justice for the victims.
It doesn't. Yeah, but that actually plays into the Trump hand, and they can go through this and release material that relates to Epstein's abuse of these victims and perhaps other people in their abuse of them, and we just don't release any information that implicates Donald Trump. I don't think at any point this has been about protecting Jeffrey Epstein or protecting many of the people in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit. It has been about protecting Donald Trump.